Well, hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Casey Pride, founder of the Pride Health Institute. I'm here with my very good friend, Dr. George Gonzalez, and this is the Powers On podcast, episode number 3. I'm excited to have Dr. George on. Dr. George Gonzalez is the founder and creator of Quantum Neurology, nervous system rehabilitation, which we're going to talk about. Just an amazing healing gift, something I use in my practice. I'm honored to actually be certified in this technique under Dr. Gonzalez, and he's generously given his time to chat with us today about quantum neurology, giving us some tools that are going to help both doctors and patients today, things that you can do to get well and stay well. So, Dr. George, I really appreciate you coming on, brother.
Thank you so much. Great to see you, as always.
Yeah, man.
How's the new practice in Arizona?
Practice is great, man. It's good. We're doing QN here. People love QN. It's going well. It's growing and loving Arizona. We're past that. We moved here in the summer, which I don't recommend, especially coming from Canada. It was a bit of a tough sell for my wife at first, about 118 degrees when we got here, but now it's kind of getting to that season where it's just absolutely beautiful here. So really enjoying it right now.
That's great.
Yeah,
and
you've
been doing quantum neurology. You just got certified in quantum neurology recently. Congratulations, and thank you, sir, for dedicating yourself to the work.
Absolutely. It's funny. I found quantum neurology because I had a chiropractic school roommate who was doing it, and I think he was the first student QNCP, if I remember correctly. But he was my roommate, and we would always workshop in the basement. And he just started rolling out all of this different stuff I had never seen before, and I knew I had to learn it. And actually ran into you in line at check-in at CalJam. I don't even know if you remember it, but we spoke real briefly. Yeah, you gave me a card. I got registered, paid in full for the entire training. That's how much I wanted to do it. And finally certified. And patients love it, man. And I love it. I love the results it gets.
Excellent. Yeah, it's been a journey. We've been doing quantum neurology for over 20 years now. We've been teaching doctors, and it's been a growth process because, this is a new concept, a new technology. We actually have a patent on this technology of how to engage with the nervous system and how to communicate with the nervous system. And that's why we're bringing in new vocabulary describing what we do. So I describe myself as a nervous system software engineer. And what we're doing is we're programming the nervous system to work properly. We search the nervous system code, and then we make code corrections, and we use healing prompts to find out where the nervous system is breaking down and how to correct it. And so this new description, I think, is more indicative of what we actually do with people, as opposed to how we described it before. As you know, Dr. Pride, we've been talking about the nervous system being a hologram for many, many years. And that's a new concept in general for people. But now with the understanding of prompting from using the internet and ChatGPT and those kind of ideas, we realize that, we're prompting the nervous system just like you're prompting for the right output in your computer. And so what we realize is that we have a nervous system code that we're interacting with. It's a physical code, just like in sign language, it's a physical code that you're visualizing in sign language. We have a physical code that our body is using, and very specific movements are associated with very specific nerve levels and actions and tissues within the body. And when you understand the nervous system code, then you can make code corrections. And there's ways to open up the code, and then we could have the opportunity to make changes in the code. And so it's very exciting, one, to be able to explain this concept in this new way. But, if you can imagine seeing a computer programmer for the first time, and they press a button and this magic screen shows up with all these different, it's usually black screen with green writing on it. And you're like, what is that? It's like, oh, that's the code behind what you see. And that's what we're working with quantum neurology. We're working with the software of the human body. We have access to access the code of the software of the nervous system, and we're able to make code corrections.
I love that, man. And what I love about it is, I know it's not a chiropractic technique per se, but I'm a chiropractor, and I know you are, and we work in chiropractic on the hardware of the nervous system and how structure affects that nervous system function and that expression of that innate intelligence through the nervous system. And I love that QN addresses the software the way chiropractic doesn't. And I guess the question, and I'm sure patients are curious about, is why is that so important to fine tune that software? I mean, how does that translate to better health, well-being?
Well, just like when you're learning any language, you first have to learn the alphabet. And in the alphabet of neurology, that's going to be in the specific actions of the muscles, and more specifically in the neurology side, the myotomes and the cranial nerves. And when we understand that that's the alphabet of the nervous system, and then we can start putting those together in words and sentences to evaluate if the body can handle certain groupings of challenges and then sequences of challenges for advanced movement. And so similar, just like scanning a code in the computer, we're scanning the nervous system physically, but we're checking the neurological code that has to be able to hit each one of these points, or each alphabet within the nervous system. And then all those are necessary to be maintained before you can start putting groupings of these together, making words, and then even more connected, doing techniques like erase, taking things through range of motion to be able to functionally use your body through dynamic movement with strength, with range of motion, with control. And all those factors, those are all more advanced. Those would be like the writing of the sentences and paragraphs of the nervous system. So we have technology in quantum neurology to be able to physically evaluate the nervous system code and how to take people from basic actions that should be working. If they're not, there's a problem. And we have a way to code correct that. And then all the way up to advanced nervous system corrections. So, we have many cases of people who have serious disabilities, from quadriplegics all the way up to medal winning athletes and world record holders, and everything in between. So what we're working on is we're working on the nervous system. The same techniques that we use on the disabled patient are the same techniques used on the elite athletes. And so it's the upregulation of the nervous system and showing up where the patient is, because whether they're injured or they're an elite performer, you have to take their nervous system where it is and be able to advance it from there.
Yeah, and I love that it's not a disease treatment model. It's more. I know you're is the proper language, or the peak performance coach for Pepperdine, for the water polo team.
Right. So yeah, I'm a performance coach for Pepperdine University for the water polo team, the Pepperdine Waves, and I'm working with Dr. Terry Schroeder there, the coach who's been coaching. He's a chiropractor, and he's been coaching for, I think, 31 years now. So we're headed on our way to NCAA. God willing, we take it, and that's what we're working for. So working
That's
hard
awesome.
on that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what I love about QN is you're not just treating a problem and getting rid of a problem. It's all about what's the next level of nervous system performance for you. For some people, that's healing and rehabilitating a serious disease or injury. For some people, they're already performing at an elite level, and it's like, what's that next level? Those are the cases that excite me the most, where you're working with someone who's already on such a high level, and you see them break through to a new level they didn't even know existed. And it seems to happen so fast too.
It does happen fast. And the way I describe it, I was with one of the athletes I've worked with for many years, LaShawn Merritt, and we were talking about quantum neurology and how important it is, and how removing the emergency brake from the movement of the body makes you go faster. And he was like, yes, it's all about that. It's all about removing that inhibition from the movement that allows you to get that peak performance, that peak speed. And in essence, that's what's happening when we get injured. Our body places a protective mechanism like an emergency brake on movement, and it allows you to heal. It prevents you from re-injuring yourself. And so, unfortunately, in some situations, the body doesn't remove that emergency brake and allow that full healing. it keeps it in place, and the body has that remaining protective mechanism that doesn't allow them to feel 100% again. And what we do in quantum neurology, again, this is a code correction because the tissue may have healed already. The tissue, all the actions of healing have already occurred. It's just that the code correction is still holding that emergency brake in place. And we go in, we identify where that is, and then we reset the code, and then we make a code correction, and then the person can get their full range of motion back again. So it happens fast, as you know, Dr. Pride, doing the work, and it's so surprising. And that's why, we're saying this is a code correction. We're not waiting for the tissue to heal. We're not waiting for the cellular shift to happen. It's a holographic shift that happens near instantly. And then once the person does this, it's like, whoa, where did that labrum tear go that I had, or at least the excuse that I had before of the labrum tear is no longer present. And, it's because we remove that emergency brake, that neurological inhibition that causes the body to be locked up in certain activities.
Yeah, and I know you've been working on this for close to 20 years now. And it really excited me when you told me about how you now have it's called the iBox, where now you actually have an FDA approved objective tool that is now measuring what you've basically been saying for 20 years, and actually demonstrating that everything that you're doing, it doesn't just work, but works like miles above most concussion protocols that are out there. I would love for you to just talk a little bit about that. Just what's this technology now, and what is it proving with quantum neurology?
Yeah, absolutely. The iBox technology from Oculogica is the first FDA-approved concussion assessment. And this is a eye tracking assessment. The patient sits there with their chin on a chin rest, and they watch a video go around a screen. And the AI technology is measuring over 100,000 measurements of eye tracking, pupil size, dilation, pursuits and saccades, all sorts of measurements are going on. And it objectively measures if somebody has a concussion or not. And those scores range from 0 to 20. 0 to 3 is considered normal or no concussion. 3 to 10 is either mild concussion or healing from concussion. And then 10 to 20 is the patient is in a concussed state. And this technology is objective. So, it's literally a person sits there and the technology measures this. And we have several before and afters with measuring the iBox, performing quantum neurology, concussion reduction protocol, and then having a significant reduction in concussion assessment, whether it was 25 minutes after all the way to 2 days after doing these measurements. We had one woman who had a 19 score, so almost the highest score you could get on the concussion assessment. And I don't remember the exact number, but we dropped her score, I believe, 14 points over a 24-hour period. So we have several cases of people who were in the concussed state, and then within 24 hours, they were in a healing or normal state. And so we've been validated with this technology. And we've known all along, as you know, Dr. Pride, we've been doing this work and we've been seeing amazing results. But now to have the receipts, to have the objective FDA-approved technology that says, yes, you have done this shift, you've reduced the concussion assessment, and have that documented, it's tremendous. So it validates what we've been doing all along.
I love that. And I remember at the last seminar, I think it was August when I came to see you, and there were a bunch of us, and all of us did it. We all did the assessment, had our little chin on the thing, and our eyes are watching the little video, and we all got our number and all that. And there were some pretty concussed people in our class who had no idea. No recent trauma, nothing they knew, but they were pretty concussed, and they had other symptoms. They had all kinds of health issues going on. And, in the class, obviously we're treating each other, we're taking care of each other. And at the end of the class, it was amazing to see not just the reading on the screen, but just to see the change in the individual in 24 to 48 hours. It was fast. And I love this stuff, man. I nerd out on this stuff so much.
It's truly amazing. And like you mentioned, we found so many people that were in the concussed state that did not have a head injury. They have a concussion-like syndrome. And we realized that, there's other causes of this kind of a syndrome, whether it's a viral, like what we went through with the pandemic and causing shutdown of specific cranial nerves, whether it's a emotional concussion, somebody after a traumatic experience may be losing, functions and cranial nerve functions associated from that. We have chemical concussion, somebody who's introduced to a toxic event, maybe food poisoning or something of that nature. They may have some effects from there. So we're identifying that there's different ways that these areas could be damaged and present as a concussion, even though they have not had head injury, which is a big deal. And then being able to address that and perform neurological rehabilitation and reprogram the nervous system and see instant change, near instant results with the concussion reduction. It's been tremendous.
Are there certain types of people who you'd say you definitely need to get this looked at? You'd be like, you definitely need to have this eval done, or is it just anyone would benefit from it?
I think anyone will benefit from it, but there's basically 3 stages, right? Somebody gets hit to the head, maybe 4. Somebody gets hit to the head and they feel like, I'll walk it off. I'll just have a headache. I'll be fine, sensitive to light and all those things. And they never get diagnosed and they just deal with it. That's most of the people, unfortunately, who have head injury and concussion. The person I mentioned who had a 19 score didn't even know she had a concussion. It was wild. And so people are walking around with this all the time. And then the people who show up to the emergency room, those that's the delineating factors. As soon as they show up to the emergency room, they are diagnosed with concussion. Now, from that category, they're either hospitalized, which I would put in the traumatic brain injury level, or they're dead, right? So very small on both of those. But so there's this big gap of people who show up to the hospital, the ER, they get diagnosed as concussion, and then they're sent home. And of those people, that's where the statistics come from, right? So that's the concussion range. If they're hospitalized, that's traumatic brain injury range. And then, of course, death is not the range you want to be in. But so somebody who goes to the emergency room, they are released. They're diagnosed with a concussion. So those are the people that we know about, and they say that 50% of concussions go undiagnosed and unreported. And I think the number is actually even higher than that.
50%. And you threw another stat at us at the seminar that a concussion happens is like how many seconds or how many minutes?
Every 8 seconds, there's a significant head injury type event.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Okay. It's wild. And that's the United States stat. So worldwide.
That's just the U.S.?
That's just the U.S. So you're talking worldwide. It's huge.
Wow. So there's people who are just kind of suffering in silence and have no idea that their nervous system is compromised in that way.
It's such a common thing. I think people just, tough it out, and they don't know that there's something that could be done. And so they just, they pop pills, or they just do, recreational things or things like that to try to cope. But unless you address the underlying nervous system code that's been inhibited and have that reprogrammed and reset, the body's going to maintain those emergency brakes on the system that are not going to allow the person to express their full neurological function.
Yeah, and the progression of it I've found can be so slow and insidious that by the time, when you're at 100% function, 99 feels a lot like 100 and 98 feels a lot like 99 until you're down to like 50, 60% function. And all you know is you feel like crap and have no idea how you got there. And it seems like a lot of people walk in that state where they've been suffering and declining so slowly over time that they don't even realize how injured and sick they are until they start to get better.
Absolutely. With concussion especially, we see this slow, insidious onset where it just gets worse and worse and worse slowly. And I feel that the few things happen. There may be, even if it's a mild hit to the head, somebody could have a slow onset of swelling in a very specific area in their brain, which will bring on symptoms slowly. And then depending on genetic factors is how efficiently your body manages its inflammation in the brain areas. So certain genetic factors will make somebody more predisposed to hold the concussion, and certain people more predisposed to get a concussion. And so when you add those factors in, it's really interesting when you start identifying all these different things that play a role in how people heal from concussions.
Yeah. Now for doctor, I mean, I meet a lot of doctors and seminars and stuff like that. And after I work on them, they're always very interested in learning more about QN. So what does the training look like if a doctor wants to, first of all, what kinds of practitioners do you take to teach quantum neurology? And then what's that process look like for people who want to learn it?
Well, we teach practitioners that are licensed by the state to evaluate people and perform rehabilitation on them. So that includes doctors, chiropractors, medical doctors, acupuncturists, nurse practitioners, athletic trainers, physical therapists. So all those hands-on body doctor trainers level of people that have the professional license to do so. So those are the people that we train in this neurological work. Now, the training side of it, we're revamping all of our training. We're launching it now. And the training is online. We begin with our online environment and we teach people the nervous system code. That's the first stage. And then after learning the nervous system code, we go into the intermediate training. And then the nervous system code training is for nervous system coders, for those that pass that training. And then we have nervous system programmers and still online training until nervous system programmer. And then we have live training, which incorporates the online and the live hands-on, and that certification or licensure is the nervous system engineers, as I mentioned there. So this is a new concept that we're launching out to, one, designate us as separate and unique from anything else out there. Quantum neurology, as you know, it's very unique. Yes, it could be incorporated with chiropractic. Yes, it could be incorporated with acupuncture or other healing modalities. And it's a unique concept. You know, we have a unique skill in communicating with the nervous system through the body's actions and reactions to achieve a desired result. As I mentioned earlier, just like sign language, very specific hand positions mean certain things, certain letters or certain words. Our body position will dictate which nerve level we're communicating with, which tissues we're communicating with. And when you have a fullness of understanding that, as you do, Dr. Pride, you have the ability to influence the nervous system code and make code corrections.
I love it, man. Yeah, I've met chiropractors at your seminars. I've met naturopaths at your seminars. I've met acupuncturists at your seminars. It seems like it's for everybody, and and I've found that it seamlessly integrates with the other stuff that I do with chiropractic techniques. A lot of AK docs end up in QN, and it pairs so well. And for the patients, for people who are watching this and saying, I need that, how do they find someone who does this kind of work?
Absolutely. Somebody who wants a doctor to perform these techniques on them could go to quantumneurology.com, and there, under the patient section, there's a doctor locator. You type in what city or zip code you're in, and the key is to put in the radius. You have to enter the radius for this thing to work. So make sure, if you don't find anybody in your local area, just to increase that radius until you find somebody that's there. And we need more doctors. So we're looking for doctors that want to learn this work so that they can receive the referrals that we have. We get referrals every single day from around the world. People want quantum neurology. They want the nervous system coding work done on them. They know that there are solutions out there that aren't found any other way except through nervous system coding.
Yeah, I get quite a few referrals from you and from other QNs around the country just because of that. People need something extremely specific that isn't really offered anywhere else. So Well, Dr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for this. Anytime I talk to people, I love to give you kind of the last word to share anything that's on your heart, anything you feel the world needs to know, any final words about quantum neurology, and how can people stay in touch with you or connect with you if they want to?
Absolutely. Well, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Dr. George Gonzalez DC, and also at Quantum Neurology on Instagram. And I'm learning the whole social media thing, so bear with me on learning all that stuff. But that's how you get it. You could comment or direct message me there. You could also reach us through quantumneurology.com. We're, as I mentioned, we're revamping the website, and the training and everything is launching right now. So that's in transition. But if you DM me on Instagram, I will gladly respond and get back to you.
All right. Well, Dr. Gonzalez, thank you very much, sir. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
All right. Thank you, Casey.